Welcome to this webinar on a very interesting topic, emotional intelligence using NLP. How many of you are familiar with NLP? Please type in the chat box. I just want to have a general survey. If you are already in the know-how about NLP, please type yes in the chat box. If you're already in the know-how about and you know what is NLP, please type yes in the chat box so that I can get an idea. Okay. Okay, right. So thank you for your responses. NLP is a very powerful personal and professional development tool. I'll talk about NLP, give a brief about NLP. And if you really want to know what is NLP and how it can help you, there is a free webinar which is available in my website. You can choose to have a look at it. It's a 90 minutes webinar, which talks very deeply about the four major problems that are faced by executives and business owners and could be handled using the tools and techniques of NLP. So if you're interested, you can always watch that. However, I'll just give a brief about NLP in the context of approaching emotional intelligence using NLP. So, and this has been, this I would be talking from my own personal experience with an application mindset because we need to go beyond the concepts, right? So emotional intelligence is a concept. So going beyond the concepts, how do we distill the essence of emotional intelligence into actionable behavior? Because ultimately behavior matters, right? How do we know that we have become emotional intelligence? By behaving in a much more effective way. So ultimately we'll talk about behaviors, because I personally believe behaviors are very, very useful for modeling, and they are very powerful indicators that we are showing growth. So going beyond the concepts, we'll be talking about what are the specific behaviors that will help us understand, yes, we have been personally growing in the context of our emotional intelligence. So once again, right, let me share my screen here. And also I would like this uh, webinar to be as interactive as possible. So if you feel that you have any questions at any point of time, just you can ask me the question. I'll also give some space in between to ask a question, and there is a question and answer session at the end also. So welcome to this program. Once again, I formally invite you to this webinar. Can keep your audio muted, particularly if you have any background noises. Otherwise, feel free at any time to unmute yourself and ask me questions. Let's make this webinar as interactive as possible, because I believe in the concept of group wisdom. So I really thank you for your presence and time. It could show that you are really interested in your own growth and development, right? So generally, we categorize people from an NLP perspective into doers, achievers, missionaries, and visionaries. Right? So doers are most probably in their, I would say, in their comfort zone. Nothing, no judgments about it. Achievers are a step beyond, trying to understand what else they could reach, and missionaries are having a team of people working under them. Visionaries have a long-term vision and I would say a purpose in their lives. So I firmly believe that people who are really interested, right, in developing their own selves will be interested in knowledge like this. And so I appreciate you for your presence here. And NLP can help you in your personal growth and development. Before that, a quick small intro about me. I'm a mechanical engineer turned trainer and coach. I was working in a government organization. I was happy being an engineer, but I wanted to become a trainer because I felt this is my cup of tea. That was a very strong call. And then 15 years before, I quit my job and started my own corporate training firm. And then from then on, the growth has been really fabulous. Now we are a team of around 4 associated traders, and we are doing lots of training programs pan India, both offline and online. More than 15 years of corporate training experience, more than 1,200, it will be 1,300 days of corporate training programs right now. I'm also into one-to-one coaching. I coach individuals, executives, business owners, and corporate leaders from various walks of life. So learn, apply, test, and teach from experience has been my philosophy. I try to always work on these principles. I keep learning. I keep applying, I keep testing what is working, what is not working, and then teach from that particular experience. I'm fascinated with NLP models and frameworks because I personally believe frameworks are very, very useful. Just like for a pharmacist in a medical shop, he has arranged everything, right? Medicine starting with B or here, medicine starting with K or here. So it's a sort of a framework. So NLP frameworks, particularly NLP models and frameworks, give us a very powerful tool, I would say, a shortcut to immediately access possible solutions. So I am a fan of frameworks. I have myself contributed a few frameworks for this highly growing field of NLP, and we'll be talking about a few frameworks here. I'm an author of 4 books. I'm interested in haiku writing as an experiment in self-awareness. So my mission, I'd like to spend 2 minutes because I'll also be talking about NLP and its utility in the process. I help individuals, entrepreneurs create breakthroughs in their lives. So keywords are just underlined here for the benefit, right? So breakthrough is a very important keyword. How do I do that using NLP? Generally, even for self-coaching, NLP can help us challenge our existing thinking processes and belief systems because we know that what has helped us to come up to this level may not help us to go to the next level. So we need to constantly challenge our own existing thinking processes. Is there anything, any other way, any other more effective way, better way for me to do that? And right, there could be some belief systems which are helping us. There could be some belief systems which are limiting. We need to become aware of that and reframe those belief systems. NLP has wonderful tools and techniques for doing that. I also have I help them to access their own inner resources. This is something very special and unique to NLP. NLP believes people already have all the resources they need. So if someone comes to me and say that, um, so the participants, can you keep your audio muted, please? There is some background noise. Thank you. So NLP has this unique belief system that people already have all the resources they need. For example, if someone comes to me and says that I'm not confident enough, it's not necessarily. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have confidence. He doesn't know what is confidence. It's not the case. Maybe he's able to access confidence in certain contexts. Maybe he's able to be confident with his friends. But maybe in other cases, right? Maybe in front of his boss, or maybe when he is about to deliver a presentation, he's not able to access that state of being confident. So we call it as strategy, right? How do you access being confident? You have an internal strategy for that. How do you determine there is an internal strategy for that? So our ability to access different states, we call them as resourceful states, is a very interesting prerogative. And NLP helps us coach ourselves how to access those positive states whenever and wherever we want. That I think is very significant and very, very useful when it comes to uh, personal growth and development. I also help them to co-create strategies. So if you can really look at life, right? Life is not linear. We don't have a linear growth, right? It's always in leaps and bounds, right? For example, there is a growth, there is a plateau, then there is a breakthrough, we go to the next level, there is a plateau, then there is a breakthrough, we go to the next level. So the question is, are these breakthroughs under our control or are we allowing them to happen on their own? That's a very powerful self-coaching question that we can choose to ask ourselves. So NLP helps us create these breakthroughs by identifying what is my next level of growth, where do I want to grow, and what are the strategies which I need to do them. As a coaching partner, I help them to gently but firmly move out of their comfort zones and explore their full potential. This is what I do using NLP. Now, moving further, right, what is NLP? A very small gist, as I said earlier, there is a 90 minutes webinar which you can access as a compliment from my website. It talks about the 4 major problems that people face. And how does NLP help them in solving or dealing with those problems? So I would invite you to look into that if you want to have a greater and more deeper perspective about that. Now I'll give a small gist. So the 3 words, right? Neuro linguistic. We go back, right? You can find that there is a small hyphen here, right? It simply says both are same words, neuro and linguistic. But if it comes to neuro, right? the neurons, the central nervous system, the mental pathways of our five senses by which we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. So the nervous system is the basis for all our experiences. Two important things about neuron is one, they carry the memory, they carry our identity. And any learning takes place at a neuron levels of neurons. Very important thing is we cannot have an experience if we don't have the central nervous system. So ultimately, right, we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell, the cognitive aspect. And that is possible only through our neural systems, the central nervous system specifically. And then the question is, what do we do with that experience? We have an experience. What do we do with that experience? Normally, I quote this example. There is an employee who wishes his boss in the morning whenever the boss passes by. But one day the boss doesn't reply back. Normally, the boss cheerfully replies back, but this particular day, the boss didn't reply back. With a stern face, he passes by. That's an experience, right? He sees that. And now, what does the individual do with that experience, right? We always try to create a meaning, right? We are meaning making machines. We can't simply be with that experience, and that's because of our linguistic faculty, language. Because we have a very powerful linguistic faculty which helps us create stories, which helps us create meaning. We tend to give a meaning to that particular experience. Today, the boss didn't smile back at me. Again, right? Our linguistic capability goes into overdrive. We create lots of meanings with that experience. Maybe he found out the mistake which I did 3 months before. Maybe I'm on a bench list. Maybe someone said something about to me, boss is angry towards me. So lots of meanings are produced. So that's why we say refers to the language and how it affects us. We use language to interpret our experience, and all sensory information is given meaning. And particularly when we talk about NLP and its application into the sphere of emotional intelligence, we'll get more insights about how do we give a meaning to that and what exactly is the meaning. So language is a medium of thinking. Without language, we'll not be able to think. Of course, there might be a few visual thinkers, but predominantly, right, language is the medium of thinking. Programming simply refers to the sequence of our actions which are intended to achieve specific results. Ultimately, I would say that every behavior is result oriented. Ultimately, when you talk about behaviors, two things, I'm just giving that as a gist. Every behavior is result oriented, number one. And every behavior is a choice. So every behavior is either a choice consciously or unconsciously. It is done with a very particular result in mind. So the more we understand that, the more we are able to understand our own selves. Why am I doing something? Very specifically, which value am I trying to fulfill by doing this behavior? In psychology, we call it as a secondary gain. In NLP, we call it as a positive intention behind our behavior. Every behavior has a positive intention behind it. It's there, it takes place for fulfilling a very specific value. So, in a nutshell, right, I would again iterate. Neuro stands for experience. Linguistic stands for the meaning which we give to that particular experience, and behavior is our specific set of actions which are driven towards a very specific result. Now, the question is we need to understand the behavior stems, the immediate cause of the behavior is the meaning and not the experience. So, in fact, right, if it is a particular adamant negative reality, the experience can be classified into two, positive reality and negative reality. And there could be some adamant negative reality. If there is a negative reality, we try to change it into positive, it works well and good. If it doesn't change, there is a very adamant negative reality, then what we do with that, that's our biggest challenge. The adamant negative reality. NLP defines suffering as argument. Suffering is defined as argument with an adamant negative reality. That's the biggest challenge, which I would say most of us have. So the more we fight with that adamant negative reality, we suffer a most. So one of the ways NLP would advocate is give a different meaning for that same experience. And once the meaning changes for better, a better behavior comes. And the beauty of it is once the better behavior comes, the status quo would be disrupted, and the better behavior will indirectly give you a better experience. So that's why I tend to define NLP as an art and science of changing the meaning for better. We have lots of experience, positive, negative. And how do we give a meaning to those experiences? Because the immediate cause of our behavior is the meaning. And if we want to change the experience, particularly if it's an adamant negative reality, work on the meaning. When the meaning becomes better, the behavior becomes better, and the better behavior disrupts the status quo. Because if you introduce a new cause, definitely the status quo will change. So once we come up with a better behavior, the experience changes. Let it be with a person, let it be with a situation, let it be in any specific context. If we change something, the status quo gets disturbed. So that's the NLP, I would say, in a nutshell, I call it as the philosophy of NLP. So again, I remind you there is a much longer, deeper video which is available as a complement from my website. If you are interested, you can choose to look at it. So moving into the main crux of the matter, emotional intelligence using NLP. So we saw what was NLP. We'll just quickly look at what is EQ and IQ. So one thing that we can understand is that you would have noticed that people with higher intelligence do not always outperform people with lower intelligence. It might have been a surprise to you. You might be seeing all around. People with a higher intelligence are not necessarily outperforming people with lower intelligence, and particularly it's true. The more you move up the corporate ladder, the more you move to scale your business. In fact, research shows that people with a higher emotional handling capacity, EQ, are able to grow fast in an organization and build larger businesses. Particularly, given the same level of IQ, the person with higher IQ has a much greater higher EQ has a much greater possibility of occupying higher leadership positions. So given the same level of IQ, people who have more EQ tend to get promoted and tend to grow faster into leadership positions. EQ predicts top performances. Studies close to 500 organizations worldwide indicate that people who score highest on EQ measures rise to the top of the corporation. So normally we say IQ can get you a job. It can help you get the door open. But EQ helps you grow in an organization. Among other these things, star performers possess more interpersonal skills and confidence than regular employees who receive less favorable performance reviews. But I'll give you some statistics for top leadership positions. EQ competencies are more of 85% of what sets star performers apart. So it's only a 15% of IQ. It's 85% EQ, particularly for top leadership positions. The higher you go in an organization, the more EQ competencies meet. So this infographic, right, for jobs of all kind, 66-33 is your ratio between IQ and IQ. Red is EQ, green is IQ. IQ and technical skills, your aptitude. Particularly for leadership positions, 85% is a matter of EQ. So what emotional intelligence is not? Emotional intelligence is not cognitive intelligence, it's not your IQ. IQ is your aptitude. Whatever we have learned in curriculums, the hard skills, the technical skills. Aptitude, it's not necessarily how much you have achieved. It's not your occasional interest. It's not your skills and talents. And generally, IQ is static, right? Generally, they say it peaks around the late teens, maybe in your early 20s. But then it's almost static. Results do not change over time. So what do we know about IQ? IQ predicts school grades relatively well, does not predict success in life, predicts 6% of job success, peaks in late teens, and it's culture bound. There are lots of racial controversies, scope for racial controversies about IQ also. gets you in the door. Professional schools, right, can help you hired. It's fairly static. EQ and age, on the other hand, right, generally, this is a growth of a EQ graph. Maybe the EQ peaks maybe around 40, 49%, and then there seems to be a dip. Right, this is what normally happens, right? We learn through our experiences. But now the point here is, can I accelerate this? Can I make this graph, right, more steeper and more useful in nature? That's why that's the main agenda that we have here. So quickly, let's look at a few definitions and then I'll relate NLP and UQ. Emotional intelligence is about using the power of emotion as a source of information, motivation, and connection. This is a very interesting definition, which I very much like. It's very simple. Keywords, the power of emotion. Emotion is called as energy in motion. Very powerful. Particularly anger could be a very powerful emotion. And using this power of emotion as a source of information, being aware, where does this emotion rise from? What is the meaning of this emotion? What is it trying to communicate? And how do I get motivated by this emotion? And how do I get connected with people around me? Because no man is an island, right? We are all have a belongingness need. So how do I use this power of emotion to get connected with people at more deeper and deeper levels? A standard definition by Daniel Goldman, supposed to be the authority in this field, the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others, for motivating others, ourselves, and for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationship. This is something more in alignment with the NLP principles and practices. It's a very interesting definition. I like this definition very much. The ability to monitor one's own or others' feelings and their emotions, to discriminate among them. So, first is to observe and monitor. Second is to discriminate among them. All emotions are not equal in terms of sensory experience, in terms of internal sensations. And how to use this information which we get out of discrimination to guide one's own thinking and action, right? For example, there is something which we call as a favorite emotion, favorite mood. Are we aware of it? What is my favorite emotion for the day? At the end of the day, when we contemplate, are we able to be aware? My mood graph, how did that move? Morning, how was it? Afternoon, how it became? Evening, how was it? Just like we do a time audit, can we do an mood audit? And once we do a mood audit, we come to know the differences. And do we get an information out of it? Or simply we leave it to choice? We take it for granted and be okay with it, or slightly dig deeper and try and understand what does all this mean? Why was I so angry in the morning? And maybe 45 minutes, I don't even think about that. And in that 45 minutes, because of the anger, so many negative reactions in my body. Am I aware of that? And is it a signature problem for me? Is it repeating day by day? How much is it really useful? And what I need to do with regarding this? So that's about thinking and. So the five domains of EQ, right? Knowing your emotions, managing your emotions, motivating yourself, recognizing and understanding other people's emotion, managing relationship. So I'll put this is about self, these two about our others, and this is about action. So EQ using NLP, right? How does NLP come into this? So going beyond concepts, right? We have been discussing lots of concepts. Of course, I did point out to certain few behaviors. But how does NLP look at the field of EQ, emotional intelligence? We are um, right using both the words. They both mean the same EQ, EI. As far as this webinar is concerned, focus on behaviors beyond concepts. Concepts are good; they give us a sense of direction. But at the same time, in order to understand the concepts, we need to sublimate all those concepts into very specific behaviors. Because behaviors are observable, identifiable, measurable, controllable, and can be modeled. What's the primary difference between myself and a more emotionally intelligent person? If we can ask this question, we'll be able to identify the importance of this statement. What's the primary difference between myself and a more emotionally intelligent person? The contrast is very obvious, right? In a stressful situation, how is that I behave and how is a person who is more emotionally intelligent behaves? Normally, right? Dhoni is talked about in stressful situations. How does he behave? Right, more contemporary, more modelable or situations in our personal and professional life. If you can observe, right, people who are more emotionally intelligent, who are getting more results, who are more happy, less stressful, that I think is a very clear idea about being emotionally intelligent. More happy, less stressful, and maybe with lesser regrets. So because of observable, identifiable, sorry, there is a spell mistake there, observable, identifiable, measurable. We can also measure behavior. And controllable, right? We can control, and very importantly, right? NLP is a modeling exercise at heart. And remember, whether we want it or not, almost more than 90% of our learning is through modeling. We model others, both at conscious and unconscious levels. So this is a very interesting statement. All the emotions are our friends. They are there for a reason. They are there for a purpose. And they try to communicate a message for us. This is something interesting. This is an eye opener for me. Instead of classifying emotions as a negative or wrong emotions, we need to understand all our emotions are friends. They are there for a reason. Nature has intended those emotions to be in that way. They try to communicate a message for us. For example, what does anger mean? If I'm angry, what is the message? Anyone? You can unmute and share your perspective. What is the message behind anger? If a person is angry, what does that mean? That is a communication. Anyone? Hello? Am I audible?
It's a boundary.
It's a boundary. Okay. Can you be a little specific, ma'am? Thanks for sharing. Can you be a little specific? What? That's good. That's very useful. Can you be a little specific?
It is something has been um, miss. I mean, some kind of
Overstep,
attack or yeah,
overstepping. Yeah, a
yeah,
boundary has been breached.
cross.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. That's great, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's an instant spurt of reaction.
Reaction. True. True. Regarding what, if I may ask?
Whatever is something which probably you don't like or you don't, you probably don't
Yeah,
expect at that moment.
exactly. You hit the right word, right? When our expectations are not met, when the boundaries have been breached. What is the message behind guilt?
Um,
Accept
this is
that always you don't, can't beat the expectations. It
no,
can
no.
differ.
So when a
It
person
is
is
our own
guilty, sir, what is the
standards.
message? Yes,
It is our own standard that
e-
we have broke.
exactly.
I mean,
Fantastic, right? Exactly. We have violated our own value system. Our value system has been violated by our own self. What's the message of jealousy? Very interesting emotion.
it is kind of insecurity in another world, that I wanted to reach that, or I wanted to have that.
Ah,
I don't have that kind
o-
of insecurity.
okay. So
Comparison.
I tend to look at, are we jealous about Hillary and Tenzing, the people who climbed Mount Everest?
No, that is
Probably,
because we
probably
don't
not.
have the same goal. Yeah,
Probably not, right? So we are more jealous about people who have our own skill sets and competences.
yeah,
So jealousy is an interesting emotion, right? It shows that somehow you know that you also have the same skill sets and competencies with the person. He's getting
wow,
better results. He or she is getting better results than us.
yes,
So it's a question of the message is it's a question of strategies, right? We have the same skill
correct.
sets and competencies, but the other person is having some strategies which are effective strategies, are getting results which we don't have. So jealousy could be a good direction finder, unless otherwise, right? Of course, if it leads us into inappropriate behavior, then I wouldn't agree with that. But jealousy can be a source of information, shows that this is a person I need to model. He has the same skill sets and competences. So basically, right, we need to understand that emotions are our friends. So normally, right, I don't do much of career coaching, but if at all, right, I had to do it. I'm more into executive and business coaching at all, right? For sake of friendship, I need to do it. I just ask this question: whom are you jealous about? Who is your role model? If there is no clear-cut answer, I would go slightly deeper. Whom are you jealous about? That could give a indication about this is what I want, right? Because when we set goals and when we are not clear about what is that I really want, maybe this area can help us to become more clear about. So they try to communicate a message for us moving forward. There are no right or wrong emotions. All the emotions serve a purpose. Every emotion serves a purpose. There is no point in suppressing, or denying an emotion. There is no point. They serve a purpose. There is no point in suppressing or denying an emotion. And the question is, there are only useful or not useful emotions. Useful or not useful in one context, useful or not useful in the context of achieving my long term goals. That's again important.
But all are useful, no?
Every emotion is useful, man.
Yeah,
If you're really able to understand the message and if you're
yeah,
able to align the information and get us motivated towards our long term goals.
yes.
Okay. So moving further, right, in NLP perspective, remember the five things we talked about. So NLP perspective, it's self-awareness, self-management, motivation, empathy, and social skills. What is emotional intelligence? Being aware. How are you able to manage yourself? How are you able to motivate yourself? How are you able to empathize with others? And how are you able to actually build rapport and go for a win-win? How are you able to really understand the pain points? What's your strategy for getting motivated? And how are you able to discriminate and prioritize? And how much are you able to observe yourself? The concept of disassociation, which is much talked about in NLP. What's the difference between I am angry and I have anger in me? I am angry.
Actually, anger is just an emotion,
Okay.
separate from behavior or reaction.
Okay.
It is a feeling. I mean, it
Okay.
is an emotion, but behavior, it is not expressed in behavior.
Okay.
So I have anger, but I haven't expressed or shouted or done something like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, ma'am. Any other perspectives? What's the difference between I am angry and I
So
have in me?
yeah, so in the first statement that you associate yourself with that emotion, you say
Exactly.
you are that person,
Exactly. Exactly.
and the other person is the other thing is, yes, there is something around me which I need to look at it, and which I can look at it differently. It's
Fantastic.
from a wider angle or another angle, or
Fantastic. Beautiful. Beautiful. May I know your name, please? Is it
Johnson.
Johnson?
Johnson
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome. That's fantastic. Right. So that's right, right. I am angry is a very associated state where we are hijacked by anger. The other is stepping ourselves, right? Stepping out of ourselves, looking at ourselves is called as dissociation. Understanding I have anger in me for a moment, passing, creating a small gap, choosing to look at ourselves, feel the feeling, feel the emotion, and give a name for it. So normally it happens, right? Maybe in a moment of in the moment of conflict, we are angry. Maybe 20, 30 minutes later, we unconsciously disassociate, look back, contemplate. That's a state of disassociation where we feel that maybe I shouldn't have said those words. I didn't mean them, but anyhow, they came out of my mouth. And I shouldn't have said that. We regret that. So that's a state of dissociation. Generally, we say this is a problem solving state. So moving further, self-awareness, right? We'll try and distill into behaviors, right? All these concept of self-awareness, self-management, motivation, empathy, and social skills. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Let's try and distill them in terms of behaviors. I know it's a tall task, very ideal. It could be very difficult. But remember, progress is more important than perfection. If you can try and choose and work on small incremental levels, we need not expect major changes overnight. But step by step, bit by bit, maybe we can have months as a reference point. Am I more emotionally intelligent than last month? Maybe last 6 months, even last year? It need not be overnight, right? Gradually, small incremental steps can we choose to work on that? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Being honest with yourself. So, personally, I would recommend that. I find a huge value when I practice this using I feel, I think, I choose statements. I feel angry. It's not that you make me angry. So we can very specifically point out that behavior, when you do this, I feel confused, I feel angry, I feel irritated. And then the request, when you do this behavior, I feel this. This is a standard assertive communication script. When you do this, I feel this. And the simplest way could be a request for a change in behavior. When you interrupt me when I speak, I feel confused. Can you allow me to speak for 3 minutes without interruption? So very specific behavior, that the feeling that is being created in me and the request. Maybe you can add also the consequence. I feel confused. I don't know what to say. The consequence of that feeling with me. And then when you put forth that as a request. Instead of that, if you straight away start with a request, stop interrupting me, maybe it's not a request, right? The tonality matters. If you immediately say that, stop interrupting me, the other person might be confused. So when you keep on interrupting me, I feel confused. I get stuck. That's a consequence. I'm not able to completely talk what I want to say. So can you give me 3 minutes? Can you allow me to speak without interrupting for 3 minutes? So this is the basic assertiveness communication script, where we use lots of I feel, I think, and I choose statements. Second one is acknowledging who you are, taking ownership for who you are, and be okay with it to start. So we need not start with a hate for ourselves. Why am I like this? So we have our own internal maps, the way we look at our world. And there is a reason behind it, because our experiences, our past experience has shaped us. There is a conditioning going on. So at some level, we need to take ownership, because unless we take ownership, it's very difficult for us to move forward. We will not be able to introduce something new and be okay with it for a start. So there is a big difference between acknowledging and accepting. Sometimes, right, the physical futures, right, which are very difficult to change, we need to accept and be okay with it. But our other skills and competences, there is always scope for positive growth, and we can accept it to start with, so that it puts us at a comfortable state of mind, and then we can start working on ourselves. Okay, so that is something interesting, right? How much, in fact, right, we measure self-esteem as our ability to be okay with who you are. Okay, be aware about how you come across to others. This is primarily, I think, very, very important. People who have lots of self-esteem, lots of self-confidence, right? Because there is a balancing paradox. When you are highly self-esteemed, the other balancing paradox is also being sensitive. I can be very confident, but I need to also understand the effect of my confidence producing on significant people in my life. Is it really inspiring for them? Or is it making them put off? Is it making them uncomfortable? So there is a balancing paradox. We need to be aware of it. That's why we say being aware of how you come across to others. So normally, right, when we do a SWOT analysis, we express our strengths and weaknesses. And something interesting happens when we actually share that with others and ask them how much of is it true. And most of the times it takes us by surprise. What we consider as strengths sometimes may come across weaknesses, and what we consider as weaknesses may come across as something very adorable, right, in as for others. So being aware of how we are being perceived by other person, particularly for brands, if you want to build a brand, right, you need to be aware of how your clients um, have a perspective about you. Very important knowing what you do well, right? Your strengths and competences. Right? If your passion can become your profession, if you something that you do enjoy, that you do enjoying the concepts of ikigai, all those stuff were there. But do we know, right? This is something which I enjoy, and it's also producing value. What is that you do well? So, as coaches, right, and as people interested in personal development, we know that everyone comes with some core strengths, set of strengths, everyone. The question is, are we able to be aware of them and apply them? Last one, very important, self-awareness, knowing how you behave under stress. What is your stress reaction and what are your stress coping mechanisms? What is your stress threshold? So, any questions quickly? What's your take on this?
I guess this takes a lot of practice,
Yes, sir.
and it doesn't come over overnight. It takes.
Exactly, sir. I do very much accept that. Yeah. It's an ongoing challenge, but it's an interesting challenge, right? Once we become aware of it, right? I think we can get motivated because if we think long term, and this could be the first step, right, for getting what we really want in life, that could be a good way forward. Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. So moving further, self-management. What are the very, I would say, specific behaviors? Being clear about what you want to achieve. What are my goals? What is that I really want in life? Very importantly, when you couple that with what are the values that I tend to fulfill by achieving this goal, it goes slightly deeper. I want to get educated. For what? I want to get rich. For what? I want to become the director of this organization. For what? What is the value which I am trying to fulfill by achieving these goals? Because we talk about right reactive and proactive goal setting. Reactive goal setting is trying to prove something to someone by achieving this particular goal, which we normally don't encourage. Whereas a proactive goal setting is trying to really understand your deep driving desire, get a pulse to it, and then bring it into your long term goal setting processes. So, being aware of your own value system, particularly we talk about the 5 core values, life values, and aligning our entire goal setting process towards that could be a very interesting exercise. Being sure what matters to you the most and deciding based on that, the value system, because lots of regrets could come when we play superficial games, when we take superficial decisions without understanding. We call it as ecology. When we play superficial decision making, then we might be compromising something positive which is right now. Remember, we need to change in some way. When we reach a goal, we are a changed person. And maybe something which is positive in our current situation, which we take it for granted, may not be available when we reach the goal. Are we able to predict that? We call it as an eco check. When I've achieved the goal, these are the things that I might be missing. Is it okay? Is it okay with all significant people in your lives? For example, if I need to be really, if a person becomes to really become rich, maybe he needs to compromise on quality time with his family members. Is it okay? Maybe he has to compromise something on his health. Is it okay? Can it be redeemed? Being able to postpone immediate positive and negative gratification, this is a hardcore mark. The idea is not to completely avoid. It's just to postpone immediate positive and negative gratification. Lots of studies has gone into that. The famous marshmallow experiment, when it was done with children, you can just search about it. This is something which I really like, being flexible in terms of strategies. If something is not working, am I doing something else? Or in the name of hard work, am I doing it overworking on the same thing? The metaphor is there is a lock, many keys. If one key doesn't fit, we try a key. If it doesn't work, we need to search for some other key which fits and works. Not in the name of hard work, working with an inappropriate key. Being flexible in terms of strategies. Aligning beliefs and values with long-term vision and mission. This again very significant. Can we at least think, right? Right, when we started in this journey of personal development, we are asked to think for 10 years, a decade. But now, right, that there's so much disruption going on, so many uncertainties, the VUCA world, setting 10 years goals could be very difficult. I understand that. Can we make it at least three, at least two, at least one? Preferably, I like to work with 3 years goal setting process so that it gives a sense of direction and purpose. At least we can work on the angle of the trajectory with which we start. Self-management, bouncing back from setbacks as early as possible. That's a clear indicator, right? There has been a setback. How quickly the person is able to bounce back from setbacks. So these are very specific behaviors. How much time does it take? A setback has happened. How much time do I take to come back to normalcy? Be okay with it. Reframing, look at that positive side of things, right? This is a standard established content. There are two sides to anything. So, right, the classic cup of milk, right? Half empty, half filled. How do we look at it? It depends, right? The question depends. If you want to fill the cup, you look at how empty is it. And if it is motivated, if you get motivated, it's okay. If you are not get motivated, look at the positive thing. Already I have finished 50. And if you want to drink the cup, empty the cup, then the reverse works. Only halfway to go, and I have already covered halfway. So everything is a reframing, right? Giving a different meaning. Keep learning, even small increment. This is something I talked about a few moments before. Progress is more important than perfection, which something I find very interesting. Keep learning, keep experimenting, keep improving. Even in small doses, it's okay. Motivation, again, the third perspective, knowing what gets you motivated. Is it fame? Is it money? Is it recognition? Is it respect? Or is it an internal sense of achievement? In the locus is internal. Is it internal sense of achievement? Able to predict effects and consequences on long-term basis. This is again significant. What should I normally we say? What should I stop doing? What should I start doing? If you're able to identify these two things, there are other. What should I continue to do? What should I do less? What should I do more? But at least to start with, right? What should I stop doing and what should I start doing? So that as a matter of you are able to predict the consequences. And it works well, particularly when it comes to strategies. What is something which is not working for me? I need to stop. And what is that I need to start doing in terms of a different strategy? Being aware of how you access your resources, particularly the internal resources. How do you motivate yourself? How do you become enthusiastic? How do you handle negative criticisms? If you really go, we call it as an unpacking the experience. If something negative happens, how do we process that? Let's say there is a negative criticism. How do we deal with that? How do you get diverted so that you wait for time to heal? Or do you go into that subject, try and dissect it? How much of it is true? How much of it is valuable? How much of that negative criticism simply fluff? Are you able to go into the details and segregate? So what is my process? And is there a better process? Is there someone else who does it better? What is that I can learn from him in terms of strategies? Being able to decide upon what can be compromised and sacrificed, this becomes important as you grow up the ladder. Remember, branding itself is a sacrifice. You need to let go of so many things in order to focus on few things. Being clear at the same time, being clear about what is non-negotiable in life. To what extent? Right, normally we say, uh, I am okay setting boundaries. I am okay with this. I can manage this. I am not okay this. Setting these boundaries for ourselves and clearly communicating that to significant people in our lives. That's also a part of getting motivated. Knowing how you can get things done with respect to others. Right? Everything is a team job. Everything is an transaction in life. So we give value, get value. And how do we normally get things done? Is it being authoritative? Is it by being assertive? Or is it by playing the vulnerability card? What is our major strategy? Being aware and no judgments here. Remember, going back, every behavior has a purpose behind it, and it's a choice. The question is, how useful is it for you in terms of your long-term goals? Empathy, how much do you really care? This is one question which I normally ask, particularly my business owners, I mean, even to some extent um, to the executives with respect to stakeholders. How much do you really care about your clients? How much do you really care about your boss? How much do you really care about your subordinates? Do you wish them well? How much can I work on this attitude? Even if I'm not comfortable, even if the going is difficult, can I really at some level wish them well? No, it's very pretty difficult. But it makes us things easy for us, right? Remember, normally there is a golden Buddha in all of us, hidden, trapped deep inside. But still, there is a golden Buddha. Am I able to be sensitive towards a golden Buddha while at the same hand protecting and protecting myself? That's a I would say very very I would put it under a skill. I would say it's a very important skill. How strong are your prejudices? How do I approach people with preconceived notions? Am I aware of it? This becomes significant, right? Because the inclusive working area is much talked about. How strong am I prejudiced? And how can I work on it? Because I might be missing lots and lots of opportunities. How much can you listen and understand? Or am I getting stuck in my own world? The background chatter that is going on, am I getting stuck in that? Can I make a conscious effort to really listen and make myself available, particularly for significant people in our lives? This is again interesting. How much can you sense potential in others and be true about it? How much do we are nurturing parents? How much are we able to encourage people? Because when I look back, right, I look back with gratitude towards people who have identified certain potentials and competences in me and pointed out to them, and I'm grateful to them. I'm sure all of us would be having moments like that. How much can you help people in achieving what they want? Again, very, very significant, because givers gain, right? So we go ahead. So I just want you to contemplate. I think this is important, a very, very effective step. If you can create even small incremental improvements in that, I think the effects could be really, really, really much greater. Much ROI is here. Social skills, right? Able to listen actively again. Uh, and at the same dimension, with respect to right giving and getting feedback, I put it this in this context. Able to observe congruencies and incongruences, body language and non-verbal communication. We call it as being sensitive, listening to things that are unsaid. It's a very powerful leadership trait. Able to get along with all types of people if need be, right? Suppose in a team, we have to work. There is a need to work in a team. How are we able to get along with all types of people? Not necessarily people who are in alignment with us. So we call it as a working relationship. The problem is if it's binary, I only work with this type of people. I totally discount and don't work with this type of people. That could be a binary. Again, right? Nothing, I wouldn't say no judgments about it. It could be useful if you have, right, people freedom. You can choose to work with uh, certain type of clients, the niching concept of niche, the concept of very specific people who are with specific qualities for whom you can create maximum value, for whom you can create maximum value. So again, right, I'd reframe it and say that you are able to create maximum value for certain a niche type of people. That's what we advocate when it comes to business. When it comes to team, if there is a need, how much are you okay in establishing, working with all types of people and establishing a working relationship? How much are you really able to help others get into the good books? We call it as brownie points. It need not be major. It could be something even small. Brownie points are small, small things. But again, it can establish you well. How much at a very deeper level, how much are you able to coach and mentor others? Okay.
What is brownie points, sir?
Um, a small point, man. For example, right, I go to a mall and I see a small item which could be useful for my collaborator.
Mm.
I just buy it and give it. I make a connection, right, between two of for a friend with whom he could be benefited, with a service provider who he could be. But nothing much I do. No stress for me, no strain for me. But it's valuable for the other person. They are called as brownie points. Pointing a direction. sensing a need and showing a direction. This person could help. Sharing contacts. These are called as brownie points. Brownie points are points where you don't put too much effort, but you're able to create value for the others. Okay, so question answer time. Any questions, participants? We have come to the end. I'll finish in 5 minutes.
Could you share the motivation slide again?
Yeah. So knowing what gets you motivated, able to predict effects and consequences on long-term basis, being aware of how you access resources, being able to decide upon what can be compromised and sacrificed, and being clear about what is non-negotiable in life.
Thank you.
So there are no questions, right? I hope we have come to the end of the webinar. So hope you have been able to find some value in this for those of you, right? Want to work with you at deeper levels, right? More on a transactional basis, where we can have more time to discuss NLP, explore NLP. Here is an opportunity, further learning opportunity. Those of you who are really interested, right? I'm sure, right? You would have got some value. I believe that. So I'm conducting an upcoming NLP Foundation program happening on 7, 8, 9 June, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Timing is 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., 90 minutes every day. It's a 3-day program. It's a non-certification program because there is no evaluation, where we talk about the basic fundamental philosophies of NLP as an application. It's application oriented. Timing 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., 90 minutes, 7, 8, 9 June. Coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be in simple English and Tamil. It'll be a combination of both. Both who know only English and only Tamil can feel comfortable. But it will be a combination of English and Tamil. Later, I intend to do a program maybe next month completely in English. But right now, this program is a combination of English and Tamil. So this is Ad Creative 7, 8, 9th. And it will be an online program, Zoom.
Let's go.
So day one, what is NLP? Gain a foundational understanding of NLP. The NLP philosophy, explore the core philosophy behind NLP. Because remember, NLP is not just techniques, it's also an attitudinal change. So I will say techniques are like first aid. You can use the techniques to put yourself in a resourceful state of mind, but NLP is all about attitudinal change, being natural, and I would say responding naturally towards situations in life. Spontaneous, that's a word which I was looking for. The 3 principles of NLP, learn the 3 principles which I use in my coaching. These 3 principles are predominantly occupy I would say 30-40% of my coaching program. It's very powerful for self-coaching ourselves, and there is a worksheet where we can engage with practical exercises to reinforce your learning. Day 2, NLP applications, more specific applications, discover practical uses of NLP in various aspects of your life. Particularly, the focus is on the effectiveness program, understand how to focus on long-term value instead of just being busy, right? That's an effectiveness program. So moving beyond being busy and focusing more on value creation is the effectiveness program, and gain a worksheet. Continue with exercises designed to deepen your understanding. Day 3, the 4 pillars of NLP, I call it as an execution framework. I learn about the essential pillars that support NLP practices. And how do we apply these 4 pillars in a practical real life execution scenarios? That's also we talk about. And there is a worksheet, final exercises to consolidate your learning. So 3 days, 90 minutes every day. The key focus areas, taking charge. Personally, NLP believes in taking the oars and putting them to use, giving a direction for your ship, for your boat, taking charge. How do we communicate effectively? Improvement, insight, very powerful insights about communication, right? We'll be talking about that. And it boils down to choosing prioritization. How do we prioritize? What is more important? Thinking long term would be, I would say, the essence, particularly of day 2 and day 3. And unless, right, unless we understand this concept, things which are more important should not be at the mercy of the things which are less important, right? That's the basic mantra, guiding mantra. So managing time, we'll be discussing that at multiple levels. Deeper connections, understanding human behavior. Trying to minimize our judgments and being more acknowledging. That's something could be very useful. Long-term thinking, right? Particularly in deeper connections, we talk about our ability to really observe, listen, lend a pair of non-judgmental ears. We talk about that. Long-term thinking, infuse purpose and meaning to our goals. That's very, very important, because unless we know where to go, which bus will we board, which bus, which mode of transport, which bus, which train, which flight are we going to decide upon without knowing where to go? And lots of feedback. Based on the feedbacks, I'm saying that it has been a transformation experience. People have found huge value, and they were able to get some. They say normally the word comes as truth bombs. Very powerful insights. I'm talking this based on the feedbacks. If you're interested in feedbacks, there are in my website www.ramsnlp.com. You would have got the website ID in your emails. If you are interested in having a look at the testimonials, you can choose to look at that from my website. So interactive sessions, there is time, 3 to 90 minutes. We can have more deeper conversations, and we can explore NLP with respect to different phases of life. The ultimate idea is to help us understand, right? To be honest, I'm also a learner there. So every interaction, I would say, it's more in a form of a facilitative or coaching. It's not training. Of course, some aspects of training would be there, but it would be more a coaching facilitative experience where we share our insights, get new insights, and we are able to understand our competences and find avenues for application of those competences. That's the idea here. I'll be tapping into group wisdom. There is a free bonus, the 3 steps of assertive communication and career growth. It's an online on-demand video. It's there in my LMS. So I offer it as a free bonus. It has 20 videos, lots of positive feedbacks I have got. Right? We'll be able to access this for a period of 1 year. 20 videos, the course is accessible for 1 year. Why 1 year? Otherwise, if there is no limitation, generally people don't utilize the online courses. So I put a maximum end for that. You can access the course for 1 year. The course is totally free along with this program. That's a free bonus. Pricing is 2,500. The list price of this program is, however, for those participants of this webinar. And for the first 20 participants, the price is rupees 999 only. So I will just share the payment link in the chat box. Those of you who are really interested, who feel that it will be useful for you, right? Those of you who feel that, I will invite you to join this program. And we can take it to very deep levels when we explore NLP with the different aspects of this. So that's about it, dear friends. So if there are any further questions, I'm available. We can ask these questions.
Ram, I think I'll join the next program in July because in English.
Yeah, sure.
If you can send me the link and the date so I can block it right now.
Sure. I'll do that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'll leave the session now, but thank you very much for your time and explanations. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
It was one of the most simpler, actionable combination of NLP with Goldman's work. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So any other questions? Okay, friends. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I hope the program had been of use to you. From the base of my heart, I wish you all the best. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you very much. All the best.